we'll talk about the emotional side of things, right? And that is chiefly what we work through, right? What our clients, we're there to talk with our clients through periods of uncertainty like this, and pretty extreme uncertainty, right? Just taking a step back, obviously the S&P dropped 12% in 4 days, one of the largest routes since World War II. People notice that, right? When it starts to hit the mainstream medium, obviously, we're looking at headlines on financial websites and reading about this as it happens. But when you start hearing, Joe down the street ask you, should I be selling out, or friends or family members coming to you and saying, pure panic, right? It's like you see the whites of their eyes, and it's hard not to empathize with that, being in our position, right? That's part of what we need to do, is bear some of that emotional weight while also retaining some level of rationality and a plan going forward to help people get through this, white knuckle or not, right? And that's kind of key, is looking beyond this immediate turmoil to what comes next, and what does my plan suggest I should be doing at a time like this.
Did you get the texts and calls from
family? I did. I absolutely did. Yep. And people that I would say are normally fairly stalwart and come to me for, advice here and there, and I try to help where I can. But even people who historically have been pretty relaxed and take a broader view of things are feeling it, which is understandable, right? It is in some ways unprecedented. You never want to say this time is different, because of course each shock, economic or otherwise, is different in its own way, but we know the outcomes are the same, and we have confidence in that.
Yeah, no, I've had texts and calls as well, and there's a couple of people who I know I know it's like a signal for me.
Yeah,
I know. It's reached a fever pitch, and I got those on Wednesday morning, right before, just before.
Surprisingly, the last time, I don't know if you got this, I'm reminded of the SVB bank collapse.
Yep.
I was getting texts and concerns and calls then, which in retrospect feels like an overreaction, right? Obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, that didn't turn out to be a larger banking crisis. But in the moment, no one is to know that, right? We don't know what that next step is, and that kind of uncertainty is what generates this. It's pure lizard brain, primitive anxiety, fear. And it's understandable. It's completely valid.
It's absolutely understandable. But it's also so dangerous. And I've been spending a lot of time on Reddit actually recently. And I've been finding that quite helpful, because you realize everyone's going through the same thing. You also realize that good advisors really, really care. And it weighs on them. There was a guy last night, I assume it's a guy, could be a girl, agonizing. A $20 million client had gone to cash. I don't know if it was the whole portfolio the day before, the huge rally of Wednesday. And this guy girl was just agonizing over, did I do enough? And they went, there was a whole story behind it. They tried multiple times to save this person from going to cash. And eventually they were insisted. And we are advisors. We're not dictators. We're advisors. And ultimately, we have to take direction. And this person, this big account had gone to cash the day before the rally yesterday, and this person was just in bits about it. And I can tell you from the COVID crash, we were sufficiently small then that we could call every client, and we did. And one of my clients went to cash. And I did everything I could to talk him out of it. And this guy is really smart, really sophisticated, very, very successful. And he just said to me, Richard, this is different. Stop. He basically just said, stop. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, it's different. And he listed all the reasons why it was different. And he was right. And he said, I'm telling you right now, this is what I want to do. Go and do it. And I had no choice. I wanted to do it. And obviously, we know what happened afterwards. And at the time, I was emailing out weekly, and my weekly emails would say, "This is why we don't buy it. This is why we don't time the market. Stay with it, etc., etc." And at some point later on, he said to me, "I feel like every one of these emails is targeted at me." And he said it friendly, because we got back in the market pretty soon, actually, which is another important point. But he did miss out. He crystallized a loss he didn't crystallize, and he got back in when it was substantially higher. And the reason I'm telling you this story is, That's one client out of all the clients we've got, and I will remember this to the day I die. It stays with you. It's a fail. It feels like a failure.
Yeah.
Our whole mission is about many things, but trying to not let people make that unbelievably common, certainly according to Reddit that I'm seeing right now, unbelievably common mistake. And we failed. And I still feel it 5 years on. And I feel it going into this one because I don't want another failure on my hands.
We've talked about this. I know last time we did a From the Trenches, we talked about when selling feels right. When it feels most attractive, that's actually when it's most dangerous, generally speaking. So it's a threshold of pain, right? And sometimes people cross that threshold and they are screaming for relief. I mean, they want it to end. Sounds like this client, similar story. And it is really difficult to try to, and I'm sure you had conversations and rational reasons and logic and stats that we could share all day long. But yeah, when the emotional state is such that we are in that peak panic, fight or flight, right? And their answer is flee. It is really difficult to feel like you lost that battle, right? Or that conversation or a decision was made that at your heart is not what is optimal long term.